The German shepherd should have been dead before midnight. But there she was, standing in the middle of a rain-slicked back road, ribs sharp beneath her soaked sable coat, blocking Staff Sergeant Noah Whitaker's truck with the last strength in her body. Noah slammed the brakes. The headlights caught her torn K9 collar, the half-broken metal tag, the mud, the blood, the desperate amber eyes that refused to move. "Easy, girl," he whispered, stepping into the cold North Carolina rain. He opened a can of food. She smelled it, trembled, and turned away. Then she bit his sleeve, gentle but urgent, and pulled him toward the drainage ditch beyond the pines. That was when Noah heard it. A cry. Small, thin, almost swallowed by the storm. Puppies. He dropped to his knees under the culvert and found a ripped duffel bag half filled with muddy water. 4 newborn pups. 3 crying. 1 silent. Behind him, the starving K9 collapsed but kept her eyes locked on his hands, as if begging him to save them first. Noah wrapped the puppies in his jacket and ran for the truck. But as the engine roared to life, the quietest pup stopped breathing, and the mother let out a sound that did not belong to an animal. It sounded like a prayer. El n'aurait jamais dû être encore, débat sous cette pluie. Portant, au milieu d'une route secondaire de Caroline du Nord, après de 20 milles de la ville la plus proche. Un chien burger allemand ici, tenait immobile devant le vieux pick-up de Staff Sergeant Noah Whitaker, comme si son corps épuisé était la dernière barrière entre la mort et quelque chose de plus fragile encore. Les fers décapant sa silhouette dans la nuit. Son pelage sable était call par l'eau, ses pattes tremblantes. Et chaque souffle salivate à peine ses flancs cruises par la femme. Noah écrasa la pédale de frein. Les nous glisseront sur l'asphalte mouillé, le camion s'arrêta dans un long super de métal et de gravure. Et pendant un seconde il, envoyait plus que le bruit de la pluie sur le capot. La chienne n'y bougeait pas. Elle n'y grognait pas. Elle n'y montra pas les dents. Elle resta là, droit malgré la faiblesse. Ses ambers fixes sur lui avec une urgence presque humaine. Noah coupa le moteur. Le silence tomba aussitôt. Lord, trempe, seulement traverse par le tic-tic du moteur chaude et le vent que passait entre les pins. I elevate vu de chiens produce. I elevate vu de animaux à fames pres de station service, de firmes abandonnées, de routes de campagne. Mais celle-ci innovate rein d'un chien errant ordinaire. Même about de forces, elle gardait un discipline étrange dans sa posture. Ses oreilles suivaient chaque mouvement. Son regard n'y fuyait pas. Otter de son cou pendait un morceau de collier déchir. Et sur ce collier, un demi-plaque métallique brillait faiblement sous la pluie. Noah plissa les yeux. Les lettres étaient raisées, presque effaces, mais il en reconnaissait 16. K9. Quelque chose dans sa poitrine si serra. Il ouvrit lentement la portière, descendit dans la nuit froide. Et leva les mains comme on s'approche d'une âme que déjà trop perdue. Easy girl, murmura-t-il, sa voix basse et mêlant au ruissellement de l'eau. La chienne recula d'un pas, mais pas par paire. Elle regarda la route derrière lui, pousse les arbres à sa droite, pousse revint vers lui. Noah comprit ce regard, avant même de comprendre pourquoi. Ce n'était pas un demande de nourriture. Ce n'était pas un demande d'abri. C'était un message. Il retourna au camion. Attrapa un couverture pli derrière le siège, un bouteille d'eau et un boîte de nourriture qu'il gardait, toujours depuis un vieux labrador élevate suivi jusqu'à un caserne du hivers plus tot. Il posa tout sur le sol, à quelques pas d'elle. L'odeur de la viande fit trembler la chienne. Son museau descendit. Sa langue passa sur ses babines. Elevate fame. Terriblement fame. Un fame que devait brûler son ventre depuis de jours. Portant, elle n'y mangeait pas. Elle fit un pas vers la boîte, pousse s'arrêta net. Comme si un force plus grande, que l'instinct la retenait. Noah s'accroupit, le gena dans un flac froid. Tu per manger, souffla-t-il. Personne n'y vit ellen lever. Mais elle détourna la tête. Pousse, avec un effort douloureux, elle s'approcha de lui et attrapa doucement la manche de sa veste entre ses dents. Pas ses fort pour blesser. Just as says pour tirer. Noah se figia. La chien tira encore, plus fable cette fois, vers la ligne noire de pins. Il regarded dans cette direction. La forêt longued un fosse de drainage envahie par les ronces et les herbes hautes. Au-delà, il n'y avait qu'un vieux ponceau en béton, presque invisible dans l'obscurité. La pluie y descendait, en filets sombres. Noah sentit le froid lui remonta le long du dos. Tu ver que j'étais sauve. La chienne lacha sa manche et fit trois pas vers la fosse. Au quatrième, ses pattes s'étirent presque. Elle se retrapa, vacilla, puis continua. Noah ramassa la couverture et la lampe torchée dans son camion. Chaque rayon de lumière révélait quelque chose de plus inquiétant, de traces de bouillie fraîche, de morceaux de tissu pris dans les branches, et cette odeur humide de terre retournée, de feuilles mortes, de métal rouillé. La chienne avançait lentement, essayant toutes les quelques secondes pour s'assurer qu'elle suivait. Elle n'y pensait pas à elle. C'était évident maintenant. Son corps valait tumeur, mais assez volant la passait encore. À 10 yards du ponceau, elle s'arrêta brusquement. Ses oreilles se dressèrent. Noah aussi s'immobilisa. Au début, Illinois n'entendait rien. Seulement la pluie, le vent, et le grondement lointain d'un camion sur l'autoroute. Puis le son arriva. Minuscule. Casse. Un crisi faible qu'elle aurait pu être le grincement d'une branche. Noah retint son souffle. Le son revint. Plus clair. Plus tendre. Plus urgent. Des quiets. Le visage de Noah changeait. Tout la fatigue de la journée disparut en un second. Il se pencha vers l'entrée du ponceau et braquois ses lampes dans l'obscurité. L'eau coulait sur le béton, brillante comme du verre noir. Là, contre la paroi, à moitié cache sous un vieux sac de voyage déchiré, quelque chose remua. Noah posa la lampe au sol, se coucha presque dans la bouillie, et tendit le bras. Hold on, murmura-t-il, sans savoir s'il parlait ux petit, à la mer, ou à lui-même. Ses doigts toucheront le tissu de trempe, puis un petit fermi chaude, fragile, à peine plus grande que ses paumes. Un chiat burger allemand. Les yeux fermes, tremblaient contre un autre. Puis un troisième. Puis un quatrième, si immobile que Noah. Sentit son cœur manquer un battement. Derrière lui, la mer laissa échapper un gémissement bas, presque silencieux. Pas un cri de panique. Une supplication. Noah tourna la tête. La chienne était effondrée à l'entrée du fosse. La pluie courant sur son museau. Mais ses ne quittait pas ses mains. Dans ce regard, Illinois n'y avait plus de force, plus de défense, plus de fuite. Seulement une confiance impossible, offert à un inconnu sur un route vide. Noah enleva sa veste, la plaque dans la bouillie, et commença à déposer les caillots un par un contre la double chaude. Trois poussèrent de faibles plaintes. Le quatrième resta silencieux. Noah posa du doigts contre son petit flanc. Il attendit. Un second. Deux. Puis il sentit quelque chose. Presque rien. Une respiration. Trace fine. Trace loin. Pas si soir. Dit Noah, la gorge serrée. Il enveloppa les quatre caillots contre sa poitrine. Puis regarda Mara, sans savoir encore que si serait son nom. La chienne essaya de se relever pour les suivre, mais ses pattes glisseront. Noah revint vers elle, s'agenouilla dans la pluie, et passa un bras sous son poitrail avec une douceur infinie. Elle était plus légère qu'elle n'aurait dû l'être. Trop légère pour un canine. Trop légère pour un mère qu'avait pour 4 vies jusqu'à cette nuit. Il la soliva lentement. Elle n'y résista pas. Elle tourna seulement la tête vers le paquet tremblant dans sa veste, comme pour compter les petits une dernière fois. Noah marqua vers le camion, l'eau ruisselante de ses chevaux, la bouillie collée à ses bottes, la chienne contre lui et les caillots serrés au chaud. Quand il ouvrit la porte arrière, Mara tendit le museau vers eux. Noah comprit. Il posa d'abord les caillots sur la banquette, dans le creux de la couverture, puis installa leur mère autour d'eux. Aussitôt, malgré ses faiblesses, El Corbeson corps en demi-lune pour les protéger du froid. Le plus petit, any, bouger presque plus. Noah le frotte d'ausman avec un coin sec de sa chemise. Reste avec moi, petit, souffle-t-il. Le moteur demeure dans un grandement. La route devant us brillait sous la pluie, long, noir, incertain. Noah jeta un regard dans le rétroviseur. Mara fixait le plus. Faible de ses kayets, son museau pose contre lui. Ses u ouverts malgré l'épuisement. Et alors que le pick-up s'élançait vers la seule clinique vétérinaire encore éclairée à 15 milles de là, Noah entendait dans l'arrière du camion un son si. Minstuel failit ici briser dans la nuit. Un tout petit cri, pousse un autre, comme si la vie elle-même essayed encore de répondre. Noah drove with both hands locked on the wheel, his eyes moving between the rain-dark road and the rearview mirror every few seconds. The clinic was 15 miles away, maybe more if the creek bridge had flooded, and the storm had turned every bend into a ribbon of black glass. Behind him, Mara lay curled around her puppies with the discipline of a soldier holding a final position. She had not eaten. She had barely touched the water he had poured into a shallow lid. Still, whenever one of the tiny bodies shifted, her head lifted at once, her nose searching, counting, making sure all four were still there. Noah had seen that kind of vigilance before, not in animals alone. In Marines after a long night outside the wire, in medics who stayed awake because someone else needed them to, in men who carried fear quietly because panic had no useful place to go. He pressed the accelerator a little harder. The truck's old engine growled. Water broke under the tires in silver sheets. "Stay with me, girl," he said, though his voice was calm only because he forced it to be. "We are not losing anybody on this road." Mara's ears flicked at the sound. The smallest puppy lay against her chest, wrapped in the inner lining of Noah's jacket. For a moment it made no sound at all. Then its mouth opened, but nothing came out. Noah felt his throat tighten. He reached one hand back at a stop sign and touched the pup with 2 fingers, careful, gentle, almost afraid of how fragile life could feel. A tiny breath moved beneath his fingertips. It was there, thin as thread. He pulled back onto the road and tried his phone again. One bar appeared, vanished, returned. He tapped the number for the emergency veterinary clinic he had seen once near Mill Creek. The call crackled, dropped, then connected on the second try. Mill Creek Animal Emergency, a woman said, her voice blurred by static. "This is Staff Sergeant Noah Whitaker," he said. "I found a female German Shepherd K9 and 4 newborn pups in a drainage culvert off Route 17. Severe starvation, cold exposure, possible infection. One pup is barely breathing. I am about 12 miles out." There was a short silence, then the woman's tone changed. Sharper now. "Ready. Bring them to the side entrance. I will wake Dr. Avery. Keep the puppies warm. Do not separate them from the mother unless you have to." "Understood." The call failed before she could say anything more. Noah set the phone down. The word "understood" sat heavy in the cab. It was a word he knew too well. A word people said when there was no time to be scared. The road dipped near a stand of pine trees, and muddy water rushed across the pavement in a shallow current. Noah slowed, measured it with his eyes, then eased the truck through. The water slapped the doors. For 3 long seconds, the tires lost their grip, then caught again. In the back seat, one of the puppies cried out. Mara lifted her head and pushed her nose against the bundle, weak but immediate. Her body trembled from the effort. Noah glanced back and saw her torn collar more clearly in the passing light. The metal tag was scratched almost smooth, but one letter remained, carved deep enough to survive rain and neglect. Mara, he whispered, testing the name without meaning to. The dog looked up, just once. Her amber eyes met his in the mirror. Noah froze inside. She knew it, or something close to it. He swallowed hard and faced the road again. "All right, Mara. I hear you." The last 5 miles felt longer than any convoy route he had ever driven. The storm thinned as he reached the edge of town, but the cold stayed. Closed diners, dark gas pumps, a church sign glowing through mist. Then at last, a low brick building appeared beside a row of bare oak trees, one yellow light burning over the side entrance. A woman in a navy jacket stood waiting under the awning with a towel in her arms. Noah braked hard, jumped out, and opened the rear door. Warm clinic light spilled over Mara and her pups. The woman's face changed the moment she saw them. Not horror, not pity, recognition. The look of someone who knew the night had brought her something fragile and urgent. "I am Dr. Claire Avery," she said softly. "Bring me the smallest one first." Noah reached for the quiet puppy, but Mara stirred. A low sound came from her chest, not a threat, only fear. Noah placed one hand on her head. "I know," he whispered. "I know, but this is how we save him." Mara stared at him for one breath, then lowered her head. Trust, given by inches. Noah lifted the puppy into the towel. It weighed almost nothing. Dr. Avery pressed it gently against her chest and turned toward the door. Inside. Now. Noah gathered the other 3 puppies, then came back for Mara. She tried to stand, failed, and looked ashamed of her own weakness. That broke something quiet in him. He crouched in the rain beside her and slid both arms beneath her body. "No shame, girl," he said. "You made it far enough." As he carried her through the clinic door, Mara turned her head toward the treatment room where her smallest pup had vanished. From somewhere inside came a faint sound, one short cry rising through the sterile air. Noah stopped walking. Dr. Avery looked back from the bright room ahead. "That was him," she said. "He is still fighting." And for the first time that night, Mara's tail moved once against Noah's sleeve. The treatment room smelled of antiseptic, wet fur, and warm towels. Noah stood just inside the door with rain still dripping from his sleeves, watching Dr. Claire Avery move with the steady calm of someone who had learned not to waste fear. The smallest puppy lay beneath a warming lamp in a folded blue towel, his tiny chest rising in uncertain little motions. A technician named Beth rubbed him gently with 2 fingers, whispering, "Come on, little man. That is it. Stay with us." The other 3 pups had been placed in a padded box lined with heat packs, their weak cries filling the room like cracked bells. Mara lay on a low exam table nearby, too tired to lift her head fully, yet every time one of the puppies made a sound, her eyes opened. She was not watching the people. She was watching the space between her children and the door, as if some part of her still believed the world might take them back. Dr. Avery checked her gums, listened to her heart, and ran careful hands along her thin frame. Her expression stayed professional, but Noah saw the truth pass through her eyes before she spoke. "She has been without proper food for several days, maybe longer," the doctor said quietly. "She is dehydrated, exhausted, and her temperature is low. The puppies are cold and underfed. The smallest one is critical, but he is not gone." Noah nodded once. He had trained himself to receive bad news without flinching. But this felt different. No battlefield. No orders. Just a mother who had dragged herself through a storm because something in her knew a stranger might stop. "What do you need?" he asked. Dr. Avery looked at him. "Time, warmth, fluids, and luck." Noah glanced at Mara. She did not come this far for luck. The doctor paused at that, then gave the faintest nod. Beth brought a shallow bowl of warm broth and set it near Mara's muzzle. The dog smelled it. Her body reacted before her will did, a tremor running through her jaw, but still she turned her head toward the box of puppies. Noah stepped closer. "They are right here," he said softly. "You can eat now." Mara blinked slowly, as if the words had to travel a long road before reaching her. Then she took one small lick. Then another. Nothing heroic. Nothing dramatic. Just a starving dog accepting enough life to last one more minute. Noah felt his chest loosen. Outside, thunder rolled away into the dark hills, softer now, like the storm was losing interest. Dr. Avery inserted a small line for fluids while Beth kept warming the puppies. The smallest one gave a sudden shiver. Everyone froze. Beth leaned closer. His mouth opened. A sound came out, thin and rough, but real. Mara lifted her head all the way for the first time. The movement cost her. Noah saw it. The effort shook through her shoulders. Still, she held herself up and searched for that cry. "That is your boy," Noah murmured. "He is still here." Dr. Avery checked the pup again and exhaled quietly. "His heartbeat is stronger." Noah did not smile. Not yet. He had learned that hope could be a fragile thing, and if you grabbed it too hard, it could break in your hands. He only placed his palm near Mara's paw, not touching until she allowed it. After a moment, she shifted just enough for her paw to rest against his knuckles. Trust, smaller than a whisper, but there. Beth looked at the damaged collar around Mara's neck. She was trained, she said. No question. Noah lowered his gaze to the half tag. The letter M caught the clinic light. Under it, almost hidden by scratches, were 2 more marks. Not a full number. Not enough to identify a unit. But enough to tell him she had belonged somewhere before she ended up in a culvert. Somebody knew what she was, Noah said. His voice was quiet, but the room changed around it. Dr. Avery did not ask what he meant. She simply continued working. There would be time for questions later. Right now, there were 5 lives on the table and 1 exhausted mother trying to keep count. Near 2 in the morning, the rain stopped. The clinic windows turned black and still. Noah sat on the floor beside Mara because the chairs felt too far away. His jacket was wrapped around the puppy box, his boots left muddy prints on the tile, and his dog tags rested against his damp shirt with each breath. Mara had eaten 3 spoonfuls of broth and swallowed enough water to make Dr. Avery less afraid. The puppies slept in uneven little piles. Then, just as the room began to settle, the smallest pup went quiet again. Beth noticed first. Her hand stopped moving. Dr. Avery crossed the room quickly. Noah stood before he even knew he had moved. Mara raised her head, eyes wide, body too weak to rise. The doctor bent over the towel, listening, waiting. The seconds stretched long and cruel. Noah heard the clock above the sink. He heard his own breathing. He heard Mara make that low sound again, the one from the truck, the one that sounded too close to a prayer. Dr. Avery placed 2 fingers against the pup and said nothing. Then the tiny body twitched. Once. Barely. Beth covered her mouth. The puppy pulled in a breath so small it seemed impossible that it could hold a life. Dr. Avery looked up at Noah, and for the first time her face softened. He is fighting harder than he should be. Noah looked at Mara, at the mother who had refused food, refused rest, refused to leave the road until someone understood. So is she, he said. And Mara, as if hearing the promise beneath his words, lowered her head back to the table, but kept her eyes open. By 3 in the morning, the clinic had become a small island of light in a town still sleeping under the last breath of the storm. The rain had left silver trails on the windows, and beyond the glass, the parking lot shone beneath one flickering lamp. Inside, everything moved softly. Beth changed the towels without speaking. Dr. Claire Avery adjusted the warming pads. Noah sat on the floor beside Mara, his back against the cabinet, his wet sleeves rolled to his elbows, his hands stained with mud he had not yet thought to wash away. He should have been exhausted. He should have been cold. But every time he looked at the box of puppies, something in him stayed awake. Mara rested on the low table with a blanket over her shoulders. Her breathing had steadied, but her eyes still opened whenever one of the pups stirred. The smallest one, the little male Beth had started calling Scout because he kept trying to crawl even when his body had no strength for it, lay closest to the heat. He was not safe yet. None of them were. But they were here. That mattered. Noah had learned long ago that sometimes survival did not arrive like victory. Sometimes it arrived as one more breath. One more minute. One more chance not to let go. Dr. Avery stepped to the counter and lifted Mara's damaged collar beneath the brighter exam light. There is something under the tag, she said. Noah stood slowly. The half plate was bent and worn, but when the doctor turned it sideways, a faint engraving appeared beneath the scratches. Not a full name. Not a complete registration. Just 3 letters and part of a service number. Mara, Noah said before he could stop himself. Dr. Avery looked at him. You recognize it? She reacted to the name in the truck. He reached out, but did not touch the collar. And she carries herself like a working dog. Not a pet. Not a stray. Someone trained her well. Beth glanced toward Mara. Then how does a dog like that end up in a drainage culvert with newborn puppies? The question hung in the room, quiet and heavy. Noah did not answer right away. His jaw tightened, not with anger loud enough to fill the room, but with a kind of grief that had nowhere useful to go. By being failed by people who should have known better, he said. Mara watched him as if she understood the shape of the words, if not the meaning. Dr. Avery placed the collar in a small tray. We can contact County Animal Services in the morning. Maybe they can search old K9 records. Noah nodded, though his eyes stayed on Mara. Morning felt far away. The night still had work to do. A soft cry came from the puppy box. Mara lifted her head and tried to move toward them. Her front paw slipped near the edge of the table. Noah was there in an instant, steadying her gently. Easy, he whispered. They are close. He looked to Dr. Avery. Can she be beside them? The doctor hesitated, weighing risk and comfort, numbers and instinct. Then she nodded. For a few minutes. Carefully, Noah helped move Mara onto a thick blanket on the floor. Beth placed the puppies against her one at a time. The moment the first pup touched her side, Mara's whole body changed. Not stronger exactly, but anchored. The second pup curled into her warmth. The third nudged blindly. Then Scout was placed last, so small beneath the lamp glow that Noah had to look twice to see his chest move. Mara lowered her muzzle to him and gave one slow, careful lick. The room went still. Scout twitched. Another breath came. Then another. Beth whispered, "Good boy." Noah lowered himself beside them, close enough for Mara to see him, far enough not to crowd her. For several minutes, no one spoke. The hum of the heater filled the silence. The smell of broth, rain, and clean cotton settled over the room. Noah found himself thinking of his house, 12 miles away, with its bare kitchen table and porch light he often forgot to turn on. He had lived there like a man passing through his own life. No pictures on the hallway wall. No voices after sunset. Just the sound of the refrigerator, the floorboards, and the old wind chime left by the previous owner. He had told himself peace was supposed to be quiet. But looking at Mara curled around for fragile lives, he wondered if maybe he had mistaken silence for peace because silence was easier to protect. Dr. Avery checked the fluids again, then crouched beside him. "You know," she said gently, "once they stabilize, there will be paperwork. Rescue placement. Ownership questions. Possible investigation." Noah kept watching Scout press his tiny face against Mara's fur. "I know. And if no one claims her?" Noah looked at Mara. She looked back with those tired amber eyes, the same eyes that had stopped his truck and trusted his hands in the rain. "Then she already found where she was going," he said. Dr. Avery did not smile, but her expression softened. Then Scout made a sound louder than before. Not strong, not healthy yet, but alive enough to startle his siblings into squirming. Mara exhaled, long and shaky, and for the first time since Noah had seen her in the road, her eyes closed for more than a second. She slept. Not deeply, not safely, but with her puppies against her and Noah sitting guard beside them. She finally surrendered a little to the mercy she had fought all night to reach. Near dawn, the first pale line of morning touched the clinic windows, turning the rain on the glass into thin threads of gold. The town outside was still quiet, the kind of quiet that comes after a storm has spent all its anger and left only puddles, wet pavement, and branches shining under streetlights. Noah had not moved from the floor. His back ached. His hands were stiff. The mud on his boots had dried into brown flakes against the white tile. But Mara was sleeping, and that was enough to keep him still. Her body curved around the puppies in a tired crescent, her ribs rising and falling with slow, careful breaths. 3 of the pups were pressed against her belly, making small searching sounds in their sleep. Scout lay closest to her chest, wrapped partly in a towel, his little nose tucked into the fur beneath her neck. He had survived the hour. Then another. In that room, hours had begun to feel like miracles measured in inches. Dr. Claire Avery came in with a paper cup of coffee and handed it to Noah without asking. "You look like you forgot humans need maintenance too," she said. Noah accepted it with both hands. "I have been told that before." His voice was rough from the long night. Dr. Avery checked Mara's temperature, then the puppies, moving gently enough that the mother barely stirred. "She is a little warmer," the doctor said. "Still weak. Still not out of danger. But warmer." Noah looked at Mara as if the word itself had weight. Warmer. A small word. A holy word at that hour. Beth entered from the front desk carrying a printed sheet and Mara's damaged collar sealed inside a clear bag. "County office opens in an hour," she said. "But I called the after-hours animal services line. They said no local missing report matches her description." Noah took the bag and studied the collar through the plastic. The broken tag caught the morning light. Partial service number. Scratches. A past reduced to fragments. "What about military records?" he asked. Beth shook her head gently. "They said that could take time." Time. Noah looked at the puppies. Mara had bought them time with a starving body and stubborn love. He wondered how much more the world would ask her to pay. Dr. Avery must have read something on his face because she spoke softer. "For now, She is safe here. That is what matters before anything else. Noah nodded, but his eyes drifted to the front window. Across the parking lot, the morning had opened enough to reveal his truck. The back seat was covered in wet towels, leaves, and streaks of mud from the culvert. His jacket lay on the floorboard, soaked and ruined. He should have cared. He did not. On the floor, Mara stirred. Her eyes opened, cloudy with exhaustion but immediately searching. She lifted her muzzle and counted the puppies with tiny movements of her nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Only after the fourth did she look at Noah. It struck him then that she had done the same thing all night. Before food, before sleep, before pain, before trust. She counted them first. Noah set the coffee aside and leaned closer. They are all here, he said. You did it. Mara blinked slowly. Her paw shifted against the blanket. The movement revealed a faint mark beneath the torn edge of the collar, where the fur had been pressed flat for a long time. Noah saw it and said nothing. There were questions in that mark. Where had she come from? Who had trained her? Who had let her disappear? But the room was too tender for hard answers. Not yet. Beth knelt by the puppy box with a fresh towel. Scout gave a small squeak, louder than before, and nudged blindly toward his mother. Mara lowered her head, but her strength failed halfway. Noah reached out, then stopped, waiting for permission. Mara's eyes met his. This time, she did not tense. Noah gently lifted Scout and placed him closer to her muzzle. Mara touched him with one careful lick. Scout answered with another thin cry. Beth let out a breath that sounded almost like laughter. Dr. Avery smiled, tired and quiet. That little one has an opinion now. Noah looked at the pup, then at Mara. Good, he said. Opinions mean he plans on staying. For the first time since the road, something close to peace entered the room. It did not erase the night. It did not solve the mystery of the collar or the long miles Mara had walked alone. But it settled over them like a warm blanket, fragile and real. Noah stood slowly and crossed to the sink to wash the dried mud from his hands. The water ran brown at first, then clear. In the mirror above the basin, he saw his own face, tired eyes, rain-flattened hair, the drawn look of a man who had spent years keeping rooms inside himself locked. Behind him, reflected in the glass, Mara watched her puppies breathe. Noah turned off the faucet. His dog tags rested against his chest, cold under his shirt. He thought of his house 12 miles away, the empty porch, the quiet hallway, the old wind chime that moved even when no one was there to hear it. Then he looked at Mara again and understood something he was not ready to say out loud. She had not only stopped his truck, she had interrupted the life he had been using to avoid living. Dr. Avery returned to the counter and wrote something on the medical chart. Noah, she said, when animal services arrives, they may ask who found her and whether you are willing to serve as temporary foster if she stabilizes. Noah dried his hands with a paper towel. Mara raised her head at the sound of his name. Scout squeaked again, stubborn and alive. Noah looked from the mother to the 4 tiny shapes pressed against her warmth. Outside, the sun finally cleared the wet trees. Tell them yes, he said. Whatever forms they have, tell them yes. Mara lowered her head back around her puppies, and as the first true daylight filled the clinic, Noah heard all 4 pups begin to cry at once, not in fear this time, but in hunger, in life, in the small demanding music of souls that had decided the world was not done with them yet. By mid-morning, the clinic had changed from emergency silence into careful routine. The front desk phone rang twice, a delivery driver dropped off supplies at the side door, and somewhere down the hall a small terrier barked at the indignity of having his temperature taken. But in the recovery room, time remained slower. Noah sat beside Mara with a paper cup of coffee gone cold in his hand, watching the rise and fall of her breathing as if it were the most important clock in the world. Dr. Claire Avery had moved the puppies into a warmer nesting box close enough for Mara to see and smell them without straining. Each one had been weighed, dried, warmed, and marked with a tiny ribbon of soft-colored tape around the edge of the blanket they used, not their bodies, because they were too small for anything more. Scout, the weakest, had gained only a whisper of strength, but he had started protesting whenever Beth touched his towel. That made everyone listen. Small protests were good. A cry meant air. Air meant fight. Fight meant God had not closed the door yet. Noah was leaning forward, elbows on his knees, when a county animal services officer arrived with a clipboard tucked under one arm and rain still shining on her boots. Her name was Denise Harper, a calm woman in her late 40s with silver in her brown hair and a face shaped by years of seeing both the kindness and carelessness people were capable of. She greeted Dr. Avery first, then looked through the glass at Mara. The moment Denise saw the broken canine collar in the clear evidence bag, her expression changed. "Where did you find her?" she asked. Noah stood, off Route 17, near the old logging road about 15 miles east. "She was blocking my truck. The puppies were in a drainage culvert." Denise wrote that down, but her pen slowed on the word blocking. "She brought you to them?" "Yes, ma'am." "And she ignored food?" Noah nodded. "Until the pups were out." Denise looked again at Mara. "That is not a lost dog story. That is a working dog story." Dr. Avery handed her the bag with the collar. "The tag is damaged, but we found partial markings. Noah believes her name is Mara." At the sound of her name, Mara opened her eyes. "Not much. Just enough." The room noticed. Denise lowered the clipboard. "Well," she said softly, "I guess Noah is right." For the next hour, questions came gently but steadily. Had Noah seen another vehicle? Had there been fresh tire tracks? Did he touch the duffel bag? Did Mara seem frightened of men, uniforms, engines, hands? Noah answered what he could. He did not embellish. He did not guess. He had spent too many years knowing the cost of bad information. Still, every answer carried the same quiet fact. Mara had not run from him. She had chosen him. When Denise asked whether he would be willing to foster Mara and the puppies if no immediate owner was found, and if Dr. Avery approved transport later, Noah did not hesitate. "Yes." Denise looked up from the form. "It may be complicated." "Yes." "She may need weeks of care." "Yes." "The puppies will need feeding schedules, warmth, monitoring, possibly round-the-clock attention." Noah glanced at the nesting box. Scout had managed to push his nose out from under the towel, furious at being alive and inconvenienced by it. "I can follow instructions." Beth, from the counter, murmured, "That might be the most marine answer possible." For the first time, Noah almost smiled. Denise marked the paperwork and slid one page toward him. He signed where she pointed. His name looked strangely permanent there, black ink on a white line, beside words like temporary foster and emergency placement. Temporary, the paper said. But Noah already knew paper did not understand certain things. Paper did not see Mara counting to 4 before allowing herself to breathe. Paper did not hear Scout cry back from the edge of silence. Paper did not know what it meant when a life stopped you on a dark road and asked you to become better than you had been yesterday. Near noon, Dr. Avery allowed Mara another small feeding. Noah held the bowl while Mara lapped the broth slowly. Her eyes stayed on him between each swallow, not trusting fully yet, but no longer bracing for disappointment. "That is it," he whispered. "One little bit at a time." After she finished, Mara lowered her head and, with visible effort, nudged the empty bowl toward the nesting box. Noah understood before anyone said it. "You want them closer." Dr. Avery considered the monitors, the blankets, the fragile balance of warmth and exhaustion. Then she nodded. 5 minutes. Noah moved carefully, lifting each puppy with both hands. 1, 2, 3. Scout last. Mara watched every motion. When all 4 were placed against her, her body softened in a way that made the room grow quiet. She curled around them, not tightly, not fearfully, just enough to make a small wall of warmth. Scout pressed against her chin. Mara gave him one slow lick, then looked at Noah. There was no gratitude in the human sense. No performance. No grand moment. Only recognition. You heard them. You came back with them. You stayed. Noah sat on the floor again, close enough to guard the peace, but not claim it. Sunlight moved across the tiles in a pale square. Outside, a pickup passed on the wet street, tires hissing softly. Inside, 4 newborn puppies began to feed with faint, determined sounds, and Mara closed her eyes as if each tiny pulse stitched her a little closer to the world. Denise watched from the doorway, clipboard against her chest. "I will start the record search," she said. "But I need to tell you something, Sergeant. Sometimes when a dog like this disappears, there are people who come looking only when they realize she survived." Noah did not look away from Mara. The warmth in the room did not change, but something colder moved beneath it. "Then they will have to come through the right way," he said. Denise studied him for a second, then nodded. Mara opened one eye, as if the tone of his voice had reached some old training buried inside her. Noah lowered his hand to the floor, palm open. After a long moment, Mara stretched her paw forward until it rested lightly against his fingers. Not a surrender, not a command, a choice. And in that quiet clinic room, with daylight finally replacing the storm, Noah understood the rescue was not over. It had only just become a promise. By late afternoon, the storm had become a memory the town wore on its sidewalks. Sunlight touched the wet roofs, gathered in puddles along the curb, and turned the clinic parking lot into a sheet of pale fire. Inside the recovery room, the warmth held steady, but beneath it lived a tension no one said aloud. Denise Harper had left to search county and military records. Dr. Claire Avery moved between patients with quiet focus. Beth kept fresh towels warming in the dryer. Noah stayed with Mara and the puppies, learning the small language of their fragile world. Scout cried when he was cold. The largest female, whom Beth had started calling June, pushed her siblings aside with surprising determination. The two middle pups slept nose to nose, their tiny paws twitching as if they were already running through some green field waiting for them in a better life. Mara watched all of it with tired patience. Every hour she looked a little less like a shadow and a little more like a mother who had decided to remain. Noah had just finished helping Beth change the bedding when the clinic phone rang at the front desk. It rang once, twice, then stopped. A minute later, Dr. Avery appeared in the doorway. Her face was calm, but her eyes found Noah first. Animal Services located a partial match, she said. The room seemed to narrow around those words. Noah stood slowly. Mara lifted her head, sensing the shift in him before anyone moved. What kind of match? He asked. Dr. Avery held a folded note in one hand. A retired search and rescue training program outside Wilmington reported a female German shepherd named Mara missing almost 7 months ago. She was not listed as active military, but she had been trained by former handlers for disaster response. The organization closed during a funding dispute. Records are incomplete. Noah looked at Mara. 7 months. Long enough for a trained dog to become a rumor. Long enough for trust to thin into survival. Who reported her missing, he asked. A former volunteer, not the facility owner. That mattered. Noah heard it in the doctor's voice. Beth crossed her arms gently. Does someone have legal claim? Dr. Avery's answer came carefully. Possibly. Denise is checking. She also said a man connected to the old program called after hearing about the match. He asked whether Mara had puppies. Mara's ears rose. Not fully. Just enough. Noah saw it. The old training. The old fear. The name without a face had reached her anyway. The room went colder without losing a degree. Did he ask if she was alive? Noah said. Dr. Avery did not answer right away, and that was answer enough. Noah looked down at the puppies. Scout slept against Mara's front leg, his mouth opening and closing in tiny dreams. June shifted closer to her mother's belly. The two middle pups breathed in rhythm. No one is moving them today, Dr. Avery said softly. Medically, I will not allow it. Noah nodded once. Good. But good did not ease the tightness in his chest. He had seen paperwork turn mercy into procedure. He had seen people arrive late and speak loudly as if volume could rewrite neglect. He walked to the window and looked out at his truck, still mud-streaked from the ditch. A few hours ago, he had thought the hardest part was getting them here. Now he understood that rescue was not one moment. It was a series of doors you had to keep from closing too soon. Behind him, Mara made a low sound. Noah turned. She was trying to stand. Her legs trembled beneath her, too weak to hold her weight, but her eyes were fixed on the hallway beyond Dr. Avery. Not on the puppies. Not on Noah. On the door. Beth stepped forward, worried. Mara. Easy. The dog swayed, then pushed herself another inch upright, placing her body between the nesting box and the hallway. Noah felt the air leave his lungs. She had heard something. Not with ears alone. With memory. From the front of the clinic came the faint sound of a man's voice, muffled by walls, polite but firm. Dr. Avery's expression changed. She turned toward the sound, then back to Noah. Stay here. Noah moved beside Mara instead. He lowered one hand near her shoulder, not holding her down, only offering an anchor. I am here, he said. You do not have to do this alone. Mara trembled so hard the blanket slipped from her back, but she did not lie down. The puppies began to stir, one by one, their small cries rising like sparks. In the hallway, the man's voice grew clearer for half a second. "I just need to see the dog." Mara's eyes widened. Scout cried once, sharp and thin. Noah placed himself between the recovery room door and the little family on the floor. He did not raise his voice. He did not clench his fists. He simply stood the way Marines stand when a line has been drawn quietly and will not be crossed by accident. Dr. Avery stepped into the hall and closed the door most of the way behind her. The room fell into a hush filled only by puppy breaths and Mara's shaking. Noah crouched beside her, close enough that she could feel him, and whispered, "Not unless it is right, girl. Not unless it is safe." Mara looked at him then. The fear did not leave her eyes, but something steadier moved through it. She lowered herself slowly, painfully, back around her puppies. Her paw searched across the blanket until it touched Noah's boot. Outside the door, voices continued in low tones. The past had found the clinic before sunset. But inside that small warm room, Noah kept his hand open beside Mara, and the four puppies pressed closer to their mother, unaware that the next battle for their lives would not be fought against the storm, but against whatever truth had followed her out of it. Dr. Claire Avery returned from the hallway with the same calm face she had worn all night, but Noah saw the difference in her shoulders. They were set now, not from fear, but from decision. Behind her, the recovery room door closed with a soft click, and the sound seemed to place a wall between Mara and whatever waited outside. Mara kept her body curved around the puppies, her eyes fixed on the doctor. Scout had tucked himself beneath her chin. June pressed against her side. The two middle pups slept through it all, still too new to the world to know how many forms danger could take. Noah stood beside the door, quiet and steady. "Who is he?" he asked. Dr. Avery lowered her voice. "His name is Grant Keller. He says he managed part of the training facility where Mara was housed. He claims she was transferred before the program shut down, but he cannot produce paperwork today." Beth, standing near the warming cabinet, frowned. "He came because someone told him she had puppies." Dr. Avery nodded. That was the first thing he asked at the front desk. Noah looked at Mara. Her ears had flattened slightly, not in aggression, but in remembered dread. She did not growl. She did not bark. She simply made herself smaller around her pups and kept watching the door. That silence told Noah more than any record could. He had seen living things go quiet when they were trying not to be noticed. It always made his chest hurt. "He does not see her today," Noah said. Dr. Avery met his eyes. Denise said the same. No release, no viewing, no transfer without proof and medical clearance. Animal Services is on the way back. Noah exhaled, but only halfway. The room did not relax. Not yet. Outside the door, Grant Keller's voice rose just enough to carry a few words through the frame. "I have a right to know what condition she is in." Mara's paw twitched. The puppies stirred. Noah stepped closer to the mother and lowered himself until his face was near hers. "Listen to me, Mara," he whispered. "Nobody is taking them out of this room tonight." Her eyes moved to his. They were exhausted, amber, full of a question no animal should ever have to ask twice. "Can I believe you?" Noah placed his dog tags on the blanket beside her, the small metal plates catching the clinic light. "That is my word." Mara looked at the tags, then back at him. Slowly, almost painfully, she rested her muzzle beside them. Beth turned away for a second, pretending to check the towel stack. Dr. Avery's eyes softened, but she did not speak. There are moments when words only make mercy smaller. Minutes later, the front door opened again, and Denise Harper's voice joined the low conversation in the lobby. This time it was firmer, official, controlled. Noah heard papers shifting, a chair moving, Grant Keller answering with clipped politeness that did not quite hide his impatience. The recovery room seemed to hold its breath. Then Denise entered without him. She carried a folder and looked first at Mara, then at the puppies, then at Noah. "The facility records are a mess," she said quietly. "But I found enough to know this. Mara was logged as missing after the program closed. The volunteer who reported it said she had been placed temporarily with a contractor connected to Keller. No finalized transfer. No clear ownership. No veterinary follow-up on record." Dr. Avery's jaw tightened. "So no one legally removes her?" "Not today," Denise said. "And possibly not ever, depending on what else we find." Noah let the words settle before trusting them. Mara watched every face, reading tones the way she had once read signals. Denise crouched several feet away, respectful of the mother's space. "Hey girl," she said softly. "You did good. You brought them to the right people." Mara did not move toward her, but she did not look away. That was something. Then the smallest pup made a dry little sound. "Scout." His body shifted under Mara's chin, but the cry faded too quickly. Dr. Avery moved at once. Noah lifted the pup gently, placing him in the towel the doctor opened. Scout felt warmer than he had in the culvert, but too light, as if a strong breath could carry him away. "He is tired," Dr. Avery said, listening to him. "His blood sugar may be dropping again." The room changed in an instant. The outside threat, the paperwork, the man in the lobby, all of it fell behind the urgent smallness of one puppy trying to stay. Mara tried to rise again, but Noah placed a hand near her shoulder. "I have him," he said. "I have him." Dr. Avery worked quickly, rubbing Scout, warming him, offering a careful drop of nourishment. Beth stood ready with fresh towels. Denise stepped back and called the front desk in a low voice, asking them to keep Keller outside the treatment wing. Noah watched Scout's tiny chest. Once, twice, then a pause that lasted too long. Mara made that sound again, lower than before, a broken hum from deep in her throat. Noah bent close to the puppy. "Come on, Scout," he whispered. "Your mother crossed a storm for you. Do not stop at the doorway." For one terrible moment, nothing happened. The clinic light seemed too bright, the room too still. Noah felt the old helplessness rise in him, the one he had carried from places where love arrived seconds too late. Then Scout's mouth opened. A thin cry slipped out, sharper than before, angry and alive. Beth let out a breath. Dr. Avery closed her eyes for half a second. Mara lifted her head as high as she could, and when Noah placed Scout back against her, she covered him with her muzzle like she was sheltering a flame. In the hallway, Grant Keller's voice had gone quiet. Maybe he had heard the cry. Maybe he had realized the room was full of people who would not confuse ownership with love. Noah sat down beside Mara again, his dog tag still on the blanket near her paw. Outside, evening gathered beyond the clinic windows, blue and soft over the wet town. Inside, Mara pulled all 4 puppies closer, and this time when she closed her eyes, Noah did not see surrender. He saw trust beginning, fragile as a newborn breath, but real enough to stand guard over.